Hello and welcome to Bend the Knee, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Sir Ezra the Watchful. Welcome to Follow-Up Friday.
Yeah.
This, we have a lot to do today in a short amount of time, and we are going to jump right into some of these Ravens this week. We got some poll results, we got some trivia questions to kind of follow up on from last week. So, what we got?
So last week the trivia question was, what was the name of the wildling captured by the Starks who becomes a servant in Winterfell? The answer is Osha, not to be confused with Asha. And the winner was, once again, Lord Adam Parker reclaiming his throne.
Wow.
We did have a couple of people answer, and now it seems as if multiple people are jumping to the end of the episode to hear the trivia question so they can go back and try and answer it on time. And we'll say Lauren, our winner from the previous week,
Lady Lauren,
Lady Lauren has responded to Lord Adam Parker and said, "Yeah, I'm down for a trial by combat." So maybe we'll have to have a trial by trivia or something of the something along that nature. So
and we had quite a few people respond, and they were like number 2 or number 3, you know, and it was like, oh man, the time zone difference got me. I know they're not gonna let that happen again. I know. I'm like, oh,
it's funny because originally when I did it, I was like, oh, okay, this book will be cool, and then now everyone's like loving it.
Yeah,
so
it's competition.
Like, it is. So. All right, Sir Ezra, we had a test here. We had to see who swears allegiance to Team Laurel and who swears allegiance to Team Yanny.
Yeah. And so the poll results comes back. Yeah, House Laurel actually wins 59% to 41% over House Yanny. And I love this comment from our good friend Lord Adam Parker. I cannot say I support one over the other. I just want what's best for the realm, my lords.
Yeah. Yeah, I was you know, it just kind of depends. Sometimes when I was, you know, when I was like in the car with my headphones, I was Team Yanny. And sometimes I was Team Laurel when I was on my computer. So
it depends. It depends. So, another thing that I thought was interesting, and I put this in here, not necessarily as a Raven that I want to read this week, but Robbie from Newcastle, England, actually sent us a couple different things, and it's Sir Robert of Newcastle, and this is we did our top 10 list. Ooh, when was that? Was that last Friday?
Yeah, the Friday before.
The top 10 like fighters in Westeros and Essos. And so he sent us his list, and we want you to continue to send those because we might do like a massive poll where we put all of the top contenders in there,
and then just kind of see,
just vote. You know, who's in your top 10. We could have 25 people in there, and let's see who makes it in the top 10. Right. So we'll work on getting that poll together. But some really interesting folks here in his list. Just wanted to read it really quick. Number 10.
So this is his top 10 politician.
This is actually his top 10 fighters.
His fighters, yeah.
Yeah, so he did send us another Raven, which we are going to do a whole nother segment on, which was the top 10 politicians, you know, political leaders and masterminds in Westeros. So that one's really cool, actually. But this is just his top 10 fighters. So 10 is Queen Visenya Targaryen, wielding Dark Sister. You know, pretty solid. She was in our list. Was she? She wasn't. She wasn't in our list.
She wasn't.
What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? King Robert in his prime at number 9. Number 8, Ned Stark / Jack and Hagar.
Is he saying that Jack and Hagar is Ned Stark, or is he saying, well, Jack and Hagar could also be?
No, I think he's saying one and the same. They're one and the same is what he's saying. Number 7, Jon Snow. Number 6, Victorian Greyjoy, which is actually pretty awesome. Didn't think of him. Barristan Selmy at 5.
Whoa, that seems low. But I'm looking at the rest of his list, and actually, he has somebody up higher on the list that we forgot.
We totally forgot. So he also has number 4, Sir Arthur Dayne. Number 3, Oberyn Martell, which is pretty awesome. Number 2, Daemon Blackfyre, which is pretty awesome at number 2. And we have another question about Daemon Blackfyre later on, which we'll get to. And number 1, Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, so Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, once you really start diving into the Targaryen histories, this guy was a monster. there's a lot of cool theories about him, and because he's a bastard, and well, it's the whole parentage with Aegon the Fourth, correct?
Yeah, it's also like it's sort of his Daemon Blackfire, I think is named after him.
Yeah.
So, because I think it was that Aegon the Fourth, right, was
he legitimized all his bastards,
right, and he slept around with a lot of different people, right, but his true wife or whatever, I think there's the pieces that perhaps this is getting into some theories and stuff, but that Aemon the Dragon Knight was possibly involved with her as well, like kind of despised his brother for his treatment of their sister,
right,
type of thing. I think I could be wrong about that, but we're going to be getting to that part pretty soon, actually,
and then we'll be getting. I'm sure it'll all be in Fire and Blood. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. So.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into our Ravens.
Yes. Yeah.
So who is this first one from?
First Raven is from Elodie, which rhymes with melody. Just she let me know that today.
Is this the girl from France?
I don't know, actually. She came over from the unfortunately another podcast. Well, fortunately, I guess another podcast sent her our way. A podcast which shall not be named.
Yeah, she's from France.
Right. We're just not going to name the podcast in which she traveled from. But just as kind of a quick hello, she just says, hello, fellow Westerosies. Just to let you know, I just started listening to the beginning of your reread yesterday, and you are totally to blame for me starting a very unplanned reread of, a Song of Ice and Fire. Hopefully, a World of Ice and Fire as well. Mm-hmm. I've read the books a bunch of times, mostly out of order, and especially the last, the last one, 3 different times. Just finished A Dance of Dragons last month, but actually haven't read or reread A Game of Thrones in a while. So that's pretty exciting, and I love how you guys explore the world. It's going to be hard to do one chapter at a time. Yes, it is. We understand that. We go at it just because we look at the one chapter and then we kind of, how does it fit? What does it influence? How significant is it to the rest of the world? So, but Sir Matt and I also plow through. We get chapters ahead. He's already well into the next book.
Absolutely. And I've gone back and listened to Duncan Egg and everything. It's just,
Yep, it's hard. You get just to go. You do all that though, and then the week before we do the chapter, listen to the chapter again.
Oh, I listened to the chapter. Fortunately, I work at my job. I can listen to podcasts while I work and stuff like that, so I can listen to chapters and things. So I listen to the main chapter about 5 times a week. Yeah, it's Monday through Friday. I listen to the main chapter of World of Ice and Fire and this, and then I go listen. I pretty much, I listen to a little bit of news, and just some other stuff like that. But I can typically listen to stuff for like 8 hours a day at work, which is really nice. So that's awesome. I'm just re-listening to Duncan Egg, the whole thing. Boom.
Yeah. That honestly, the complexity of this world is one in which you do need to reread it actually to kind of
as many times as possible
to get to get the line by line, pull it out, tease it out. So she goes on to say, it's not like we don't have time before Winds of Winter. Yes.
I don't think we do have time before Winds of Winter.
I don't know. And the Song of Ice and Fire, it's good. The chapters are pretty short. Oh, World of Ice and Fire, are pretty short. So, it's good to explore in detail. Anyways, just wanted to say hi. Hope to catch up with your episodes in the next few days. Goes on to kind of talk about how summer is sort of her time to take a break from the TV shows, listen to some podcasts. As you can probably tell, I'm excited to start the reread, dig deeper into World of Ice and Fire lore, and I'm glad that I caught up almost from the beginning. And some of this I don't even know if I can read.
Yeah, it's not important.
It's not important.
It's really not. Yeah,
okay, cool. I think that's all we're gonna read. Nothing bad there. There's just some origin stuff that we don't want to mention. We don't want to talk about.
Yeah, so, references some other podcasts.
Yeah,
and, as Lord Adam Parker said, there's only one podcast that he means to bend his knee.
That's
to,
right.
So.
That's right. So, anyways, Elodie, thank you very much. We're happy to have you along in the group in the reread, and we will also see you in Winterfell. So that was just a quick little easy greeting. No rabbit hole on that one, my friend. So we're good for now. For now. But we have a couple more that are going to take us down a rabbit hole. So what's the next one here? You got the next one?
We got a voicemail for this one, but we're just gonna read it. What's up, guys? It's Coach Hodge. A few questions, thoughts that might be cool for you guys to discuss. The Kingslayer slaying the Night King. That is actually a really good point. He kind of hits a lot of different topics here. So we're just gonna kind of read through them quick and then go back. Why did the Children of the Forest save Benjen? I'm pretty sure they could have just, they've stumbled across plenty of injured people. Another great question. To be honest, actually, all of these questions, I was like, man, these are all like really good. Why was Jojen Reed sent to help Bran? Why did Bloodraven choose him? Is it because he is a warg, or is it because of something else to do with the family houses in the north? Because if it was because he was a warg, he could have chosen the wildling that was a warg. He would have been much more help having him already beyond the wall. Then the Tyrion Targaryen theory may be true. When Jon was able to rub Drogon. When Khaleesi rode up to him, kind of reminded me of when Tyrion unchained the dragons to set them free. When Khaleesi was away and they smelled him and they were kind of cool with it.
They're cool.
Who started the Night's Watch? Where were the children getting their dragonglass in the north? Just a few points I'd love for you to touch on. Yeah. So first of all, let's go ahead and start. Well, first of all, those are all amazing, great questions.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the Kingslayer slaying the Night King. So there are a lot of people that believe that Jaime could be Azor Ahai. There's a lot of because part of it is like there's the idea that Azor Ahai had to stab a lion, right? And then they're also kill the one he loves. Well, he could do both of those with one thing.
Sword thrust, yeah.
Or what if he had to kill Tyrion too or something? So Jaime loves Tyrion, and so he has to kill Tyrion and kill Cersei, and then he's left alone in the world.
Wow.
Right?
The lonely lion.
The lonely lion, you know what I mean? So there is that. And the idea that he was like this once great swordsman, now he lost his hand.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
And he's been training again in the book series, which is kind of neat. And it could be he also has he comes in and out of possession of some other really cool Valyrian steel swords, things that have been reforged from ice. So that could be. And I think he will be around to the end. So it seems like I love the way that the characters evolve, right? Because it starts off as a character we think is just a huge jerk, and then by the end, it's like we're really rooting for him,
Absolutely.
like seriously rooting for him. And his sister doesn't treat him right at the end, and it's just all I don't know. So I'm interested to see where that goes. In the book, we've left him still sieging River Run. Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see where he's at the head of the armies there, and we'll see how that goes. So
yeah, but the idea was just the idea of Kingslayer and killing the Night King because it's in the name. That's a good point.
Yeah, it everything has to do with like the name, and it is very and
significant. You could argue that Jaime had something to do with Robert's death because a lot of the reason Cersei was doing this political backstabbing and stuff like that is she was worried that Marjorie Tyrell was going to come and then get rid of her, and Jaime was kind of supposed to be hand of the king, and Warden. So there is like Jaime was definitely, and her love for Jaime was certainly part of it. Yeah, because Ned was figuring out that Joffrey was a bastard,
right? Yep.
And so she's kind of doing it, protect herself, protect Jaime. So in a way,
Jaime, so he's an inadvertent Kingslayer again
here too as well. Yeah,
yeah.
So
good call. Interesting. It
also comes down real quick.
Yeah.
It also does come down to the idea of Oathkeeper, right? And he swore an oath to protect the Mad King, broke it, killed him.
Yeah.
Also swore an oath to, I believe, you're in the Kingsguard, you swear this kind of a similar oath to the Night's Watch, where you don't father children, right?
Yeah, I think so, but I've got to check on that. I don't really know.
I don't know.
So that came up a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the Kingsguard. Remember, didn't you pull up there? You pulled it up, I think, and we're talking about it, but. Anyways, I think it very well could be that he, is going to be there in the last battle. I'll at least say that for sure. So, And I think it's a neat connection that he would be.
Yes, Kingsguard are forbidden to marry or father children. It's pretty much like the Night's
so he
Watch.
broke that. So he broke that out. Yeah, that oath. Holy.
So there's another oath-keeping break, killing it to kind of kill Robert Baratheon. So
right, but then doesn't he keep his oath in a sense to his promise in a sorts to Catelyn Tully for his release?
Yeah,
right?
He does.
That's where his redemption kind of starts, and he's and it's through Brienne that he does that, but still he's doing what he thinks is right and what's best. So
I could see it. There's a lot of people I could see who end up fighting the Night King. I could see the Hound. I could see everyone really. So
absolutely.
Good question. So okay, let's move on to the next one. Why did the Children of the Forest save Benjen? I'm pretty sure they've stumbled across plenty of injured people. That is a great question, which the show just skips over.
Right. Well, it could be because we don't
have that in the books.
Yeah, and we don't
know for sure in the books yet that Cold Hands is Benjen.
That's right.
It's pretty much everyone pretty much knows it is. But
we also we don't really know how he is
like kept alive,
saved or kept alive or what have you. You know what I mean? And, I thought about something the other day. We were talking about how the sacrifices, the babies that were given to to the others, right? And they're alive when they're taken, which is different than just raising the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a difference between those two? Converting some like a live human child, touching that child and it's never tasting death, really? I don't know. Is that different? Was Benjen in that situation too? I don't know. I think we're going to get more explanation on that.
Could have something to do with the fact that he is a Stark.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely could have something to do with he's a Stark. Also could be he's generally a good guy. Mm-hmm. He's a member of the Night's Watch, so maybe even the Children of the Forest view members of the Night's Watch differently than than wildlings.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they still could have stumbled across other members of the Night's Watch, but maybe I don't know. They're super smart. They probably know he's the first Ranger. He's a legit fighter.
Yeah, but here's the thing too: do you think it was just by chance? No, right? I mean,
Bloodraven probably sent him out.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's more. It has to be more in connection with they're trying to get Bran up there. They need his help, or having him near them creates this the appearance that they're okay. It legitimizes them, like it's okay. Your Uncle Benjen is here, type of thing. So right now they can't. He's covered. Like in the books, his face is covered, and they can't really tell who he is or what he is necessarily. So that'll be interesting for sure. Mm-hmm. What was some of his other questions here?
Okay, so why was Jojen Reed sent to help Bran? Why does Bloodraven choose him? Is it because he is a warg? Or he has something else to do with his family houses in the north? Because it was just that he's a warg, he could have chosen that wildling guy we see who was also a warg. There's other people too. He wouldn't have been much help. He would have been much help beyond the wall. So Jojen Reed is sent to Bran when he. So I actually just got to this part in A Clash of Kings. He has a dream, a green dream as they call it, of Bran. Mm-hmm. And so Howland Reed immediately sends him and his sister to Winterfell.
Yeah.
And there's really no explanation other than that as to why.
Right.
So it definitely seems like it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So a couple different things, right? Was the dream, is it just his own green dream that he has because this is what happens to these characters? It happens in the Dunk and Egg series. It happens, throughout this series. They have these dreams and then, or was it that Bloodraven was somehow giving him or feeding him a stream of dreams? So what in the heck, Siri? We really don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone's going off.
That's okay.
Listening to me talk. But you know what I'm saying? Like the difference between the two?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think he chooses Bran because there's a lot of Bran theories out there that all the Brans are actually the same person. All the Brandons are all the same person. You have Bran the Builder, and sometimes there's multiple people who are considered Bran the Builder. Once you start diving into, we've talked about this a little bit in like our Dawn Age chapter, and once you start diving into a lot of these histories, And I think people kind of forget just how important Bran is to the story, because in the show he actually, I believe, was gone for an entire season. I think we talked about this. Okay. It was like season 4 or something, where I remember watching it back. I don't think we saw Bran because we knew that like the books were different. But Bran is the first POV character.
Yep.
The very first POV character. The book, I mean, it all starts with him.
Yeah, no, it is. Sometimes we are a little over, like we focus on
John,
Danny and John,
and some of these other characters. Yeah.
But for sure, he's definitely super important. And so the Jojen Reed thing, it's either he has the dream himself, goes there on his own, his dad sends him because he's close, right. Or did Bloodraven choose, instead of choosing the other wildling, warg or whatever?
Well, I think there's tons of wargs, but I think specifically, there is a difference between a warg and a green seer. So a warg is just simply someone who can like put themselves into whatever animals. There's tons of those beyond the wall, but there's not many green seers beyond the wall. And so some people have visions but that doesn't necessarily mean they have green sight.
Yeah.
Like, because Jon and Tyrion all have dreams. That doesn't mean they all have like green dreams.
Right.
They may, like, you may get a vision or something, or at least,
or maybe some have more than others, and
right. But Bran has them all the time. So Bran definitely has green dreams and is also a warg.
And Jojen has them too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to Egg's brother, he had them so much that he was in his cups, it says, all the time, drinking to try to like forget what he was seeing. The future is what he was seeing.
Yeah, premonitions.
Yeah. So I think that's happening here, and the question is it being guided by Bloodraven?
Right.
And
yes.
So
I think so 100%, because I'm a big Bloodraven guy, but
yeah.
Well, I just think we were watching a YouTube video. I think it was Talking Thrones the other day, where he was talking about Ghost and how Ghost has red eyes and is also an albino, and the only other albino we know that also has red eyes is Bloodraven. I just read the chapter, or I guess I listened to the chapter where Jon first finds the dragon glass beyond the wall. It's like, second Clash of Kings, second season, I think, or maybe third season, because I think season 2 and 3 of the show is actually the second book. But Ghost leads him there. Like Ghost comes, like wakes him up, and like specifically leads him to this exact spot where he finds this dragon glass cache. Right.
Oh, wow.
And so, was Ghost just out hunting and find it, or did he smell it? Did he know? You know what I mean? It's not really explained. And so, to me, it seems plausible that it was Bloodraven controlling Ghost, because I also think that Bloodraven controlled the mother direwolf to go beyond the wall, because how did a direwolf get beyond the wall?
Yeah. Good.
You know what I mean?
Good call.
Like, how did a direwolf get beyond the wall? So, like...
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Good questions. What else do we have anything else from Coach here? We need to tie up.
The Tyrion Targaryen theory may be true. When Jon was able to rub Drogon, when Khaleesi rode up, it kind of reminded me of when Tyrion unchained the dragons and set them free when Khaleesi was away, and they smelled him. Yeah. So. So the Tyrion Targaryen theory, it's one we've talked a little bit about, but it mostly stems from the idea that the Mad King was really into, what's her name? I can't remember her name. But
Tywin's wife.
Tywin's wife.
Yeah.
Tywin's wife, I can't remember her name. He's like, I can't remember. Anyway, he was really into her, wanted to take...
Joanna,
wanted to take the king's bedding ceremony privileges and and things like that. But really, the idea of the dragons don't want to kill Tyrion. I don't know if that's in the books.
Okay, let me think. I don't think so. I'd have to double check though. I'm trying to remember if we got to that point, because in the show it's because she has left, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that part does happen in the book. She's left, and she's
right.
Right before the Khalasar shows up. I I don't know if Tyrion goes down there or not. There's a chance that he does.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check. Those of you that are listening, let us know.
Yeah.
If
But
he actually
really,
went down to unchain them, or
But I think, to me, where I think it makes the most sense is actually from the chapter we'll be reading this week. So for those of you listening on Fallout Friday, the chapter we're reading Monday, or we're doing our show for Monday, is the episode or the chapter where Tyrion and Jon are beyond the wall, or not beyond the wall. They're beyond Winterfell, heading to the wall, and they're kind of like at this little encampment, and it's kind of a conversation between Jon and Tyrion says, like, talking about having dreams of dragons, and he says, "I know you have them too," and Jon does have them, and Jon kind of shies away from them. So that to me is a bigger, a bigger implication, because the chapter before, which we just read, is where, again, we're talking about,
because Daenerys is also dreaming of dragons as well.
Right. Yeah. But so think of this. So the chapter we read this past week is where Ned and Robert are out, and they're talking about Daenerys and they're talking about Jon's mother. So then the next chapter is a Tyrion chapter where Tyrion talks about having dragon dreams, and he knows Jon has them too, and he's talking to Jon.
Yeah.
Connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, good call. Good call. We need to double check on what happened, though, with Tyrion when he first showed. I think he was scared of the dragons when he's first in her presence. But then, so I'm in the show, all we see is, and all we have really is the show. We don't really have Jon Snow's interaction with actual, dragons yet in the book. So could be different. But if it's similar, I bet there's an initial scare, but then yet an acceptance from the dragons.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay. Some other questions he has real quick. Who started the Night's Watch?
Who started the Night's Watch?
I think we know.
Let me see real quick. It was, it's more the Starks, isn't it? Basically it's after the long...
It's after the long night, yeah.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong about that. So it's a military order dedicated to holding the wall. Let's look at its history real quick. Gosh, it's not coming up very quick. The Long Night. So it starts right there.
Yeah, it was just when we talked about it in one of the previous episodes when we hit that. Would have been like the second or third episode.
Yeah, so it was founded over 8,000 years ago at the end of the Long Night.
Yeah, so, I don't think it specifically says one individual person started it.
Yeah, so again, the wall is allegedly built by Bran the Builder in order to protect the Seven Kingdoms. We had
perhaps Bran the Builder started it.
Yeah, and that's why I said the Starks. I would assume that it would be they're closest to it, maybe, and they seem to have more respect for it and what it signifies to the kingdom, to the Seven Kingdoms. So
here we go. Another good question here. Where were the children getting their dragon glass in the north?
There could have been dragon glass that they took with them that they just had. That also could have been,
because it seems like the dragons didn't come over. Well, we don't know.
But dragon glass, though, I'm not so sure that it has to be because there's a bunch at Dragonstone,
right?
According to the to the show.
Right.
So I think it's just something again that they might have had in different places and would have taken with them. But it also could have been something that it's more about the First Men.
May have brought it with them.
Yeah, I think it's more about the First Men having it.
And we also, I don't think we know specifically that dragon glass is made by dragons.
You're right. Yeah, we don't really have a whole lot.
There's not a ton of context about that. And there's also ice dragons. There are actual ice dragons, like in the Shivering Sea. They talk about that and stuff. So perhaps them. So I don't know. My guess is that it was just maybe brought over by the First Men.
Yeah, I think you have to think that
they're relics. They're like old relics.
The First Men. We just got to that. You were just reading the other day, weren't you? Where Ghost leads them to
we did
dragon glass. You talked about that, right?
I just talked about it a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. A couple minutes ago. So it's significant, right?
Yeah.
But I think though, where did he lead them to? Was it the Fist of the First Men?
That's where they're heading. Is the Fist of the First Men?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the big talk. Is all this talk is about the First Men.
Yep.
So I think it's more a focus on what the horns and the dragon glass being associated with them than it is the children. I could be wrong though, anyway, all great, excellent questions. Okay. I'm sure we'll dive back into all of these
theories again at some point. So
yeah.
All right, moving on. Hi guys, my name is Sir Robert of Newcastle, Warden of the North of England, which I believe almost makes him the Warden of Scotland.
Yeah, let's go.
Works. Savior of Haradrim's Wall, wielding the Dragon's Bane Valyrian steel katana. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
I'm a huge fan of the show. I love all your points you guys come up with and discuss. Today, I'd like to discuss the similarities between Jon Snow and Daemon Blackfyre. Also, with Longclaw, could possibly be Blackfyre or Dark Sister. Both great swordsmen. And once Jon kills the Night King, will be the start of the next part of the Blackfyre Rebellion, possibly with the Golden Company as his army. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
So we actually did on Patreon, I believe, is Longclaw Blackfyre theory.
Right. What discussion? Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of a discussion.
Could it be? Could it not be? Type of thing.
Yeah. So the only difference, I guess, is that Daemon Blackfyre is actually a bastard, and that Jon is Rhaegar's theoretically true heir.
Well, it depends on what you're using. You know,
if you're going by the show, which is all we have so far, I guess.
Yeah.
We, as Sir Ezra and I, have a lot of thoughts on the fact that the show and the books can be totally different.
Totally different, yeah.
Totally different, but I guess we'll reference the show for this. But I actually do think that, so in the show, I don't know how the Golden Company is going to work, but in the books, I do totally think that if we do go the R plus L equals J route, that they could end up supporting Jon.
Okay.
Because we have the Blackfyres have never been mentioned in the show at all. Like that's never ever been something that's been dived into.
Okay.
Like I don't even think they called Bloodraven like Brendan Rivers. You know what I mean? Like never. So
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean,
actually, do they even call him Bloodraven, or do they just call him the Three-Eyed Raven?
Right. I don't know. I honestly haven't seen the show in a while, so I'm not sure if they mention him as Bloodraven or not.
I don't think they do.
I know that in the book he's the Three-Eyed Crow.
Right.
And that's actually a huge difference, just so folks understand. The difference between a crow and a raven, and when symbolically, it might seem like a small thing, but if we're going to talk about, like earlier we mentioned, the Night King being slayed by the King Slayer, and we're getting into that minute of detail, then the Three-Eyed Raven versus the Three-Eyed Crow is very different.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll get into that later. There's something there. But a piece I wanted to talk about, though, because I wanted to make sure that I had this right from the get-go. King Viserys II actually is the one who he has.
Oh, gotcha.
He's got three kids. He's got Aegon, Nerys, and Aemon, who becomes the
Dragon Knight. So Aemon the Dragon Knight is a legit Targaryen heir.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Yep. It doesn't show any. Nope. So he actually served for like 4 different kings. Super badass, and loved his sister, who Aegon, being older,
Aegon the Fourth
is actually married to. Now, there's a lot of theories out there that Daemon the Good, Daemon II, and Daemon Blackfyre, those are the 2 opposing kings during that first Blackfyre rebellion, that perhaps that if Aegon's bastard, was actually Daemon Blackfyre, that perhaps Daemon II was also a bastard,
right?
And that perhaps Aemon had hooked up with Nerys, during some point in time, and so actually Daemon is also legitimate, like a bastard.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool, and I wanted to. We'll talk about that when we get to that chapter, because there's a lot of stuff. Aegon the Fourth, Aegon the Cruel, has so many different,
right.
That's
all over. It's all over the place. Yeah,
a little crazy, but I want to make sure I got that right from the beginning.
Right, gotcha.
I couldn't remember. But then Daemon Blackfyre, he is a bastard. Jon, as far as we know, is still the bastard. You know what I mean? So there's that similarity. Both warrior-like, both deserving of great, Valyrian steel swords. And if Longclaw is actually Blackfyre, then there's a huge connection there.
Huge.
Because
I don't know about it being Dark Sister, because I believe we know that there is a Valyrian steel sword in the Bloodraven's cave, right?
Yeah.
And I think most everyone just assumes that is Dark Sister, because I believe that he took Dark Sister with him to the Wall.
Yeah, I think he did. Let's see. We can look at who who was known to have wielded it. Actually, let's see. So Queen Visenya wields it first, or I guess is from Aegon's conquest moving forward. Prince Daemon Targaryen, Prince Aemon Targaryen, the Dragon Knight, and then Lord Brendan Rivers, also known as Bloodraven. So some pretty epic people have, wielded that sword. So that is Dark Sister. So you're right. I think it is the last person that we know who had it was Brendan Rivers, Bloodraven. So, but yeah. So anyways, because he's talking about Daemon Blackfire, Blackfire being the sword that Aegon IV gave to his son, and then possibly if somehow House Mormont got a hold of it and it's Longclaw, or Blackfire has changed its hilt, to be Longclaw, which it is interesting that they have an ancient sword like this, and that
they're a tiny house.
Would be preserved for some reason, and then passed down to Jon. That is an interesting parallel, and and Gur does do that from time to time. He does make these type of connections and parallels. So that's why it's interesting that he's writing the histories while he's writing the main series. There's things that kind of mirror each other, but not perfectly, but enough that you're like, well, there's something there. So, and it might be just enough to kind of lead you down, here we go, a rabbit hole that really isn't there sometimes. So
yeah. So all right. Well, Sir Ezra, I'm looking at the next one, and that is one we want to save. That is the top 10.
I just threw it in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one here from Instagram, which may be our last one here. Maddie, this is from Maddie V. He hit us up a while back, hitting us back up. Follow-up Friday. At this point, I believe we have to view Gur as a Targaryen loyalist. The Dunk and Egg series is very focused on Targaryens. He just wrote Fire and Blood. A Song of Ice and Fire series seems to be just a brief window in time where the Targaryens did not rule and the chaos that ensued. There is no doubt in my mind that the series ends with the true Targaryen on the throne, followed by many generations of pure Targaryens once again.
Yeah.
We just real quick. We then kind of went back and forth a little bit. He said, we're reading so much of the Targaryen history and rereading Dunk and Egg. In the last episode, you talked about the part where Robert said many still consider him a usurper. I found myself agreeing that he is a usurper. The Mad King was clearly out of his mind, but it would have been better if they just killed him or let him die and let the succession pass to Rhaegar, as Rhaegar reassured everyone at the tourney.
The tourney of Harrenhal.
Yeah, a few Targaryens who never got to rule that would have made great kings. Rhaegar, Baelor Breakspear come to mind. And anyway, here's hoping that Dany and Aegon VIII have silver-haired, purple-eyed twins who bang each other.
Wow.
So we just kind of went back and forth on that. But yeah, so the idea of Gur actually writing this kind of with the Targaryens in mind.
Well, it is pretty clear, because here's an example you wouldn't think you would bring into this right away. Look at the characters that he seems to elevate to the top, that he really likes and favors. House Dane is one of those. So the Sword of the Morning, that position in itself, and their relationship, Shara Dane, her eye color, all of the Danes having the blood, essentially, of the dragon in their family heritage, and they're elevated. They're someone who they're cool in the series. It's like, whoa, I really want to know more about those characters, and they did great deeds, and the singers and the poets write great stuff about them. So that's a smaller house that's connected to this larger house that gets praised a little bit, which I think is pretty neat. You do have all this history where they're ruling, and you have one Mad King, and it kind of doesn't, work out for him. The dragons, which were this ancient legend, it's almost like he's starting to do something that's sort of cyclical, like it's going to come back around again, but yet maybe not, and we're all hoping for it. And I mean, well, it does in a sense, because the dragons come back and magic is back, right? But would it keep going as in a Wheel of Time scenario? I don't know, but right. The idea that, like you said, the Mad King, what messes this all up is Rhaegar. Yeah. Rhaegar is the one who, had he not, he was assuring people at Harrenhal that things are going to be okay. His father was nervous that he was just going to try to take him out, or whatever. He was a super paranoid king, but he's just assuring the realm there that everything is okay. Well, and then he falls in love with, Lyanna Stark. And it's just the idea that love, the things that it can do, that it can bring 7 kingdoms down, and that's what it did. So I don't know. Well, I think there's a lot of favoritism.
Well, think about this. So, looking at the books and a little bit of the show, that doesn't Daenerys seem almost exactly like Aegon the Conqueror? She comes over with her 3 dragons, lands at Dragonstone, and then prepares to march on, after she's done finishing all of the, conquering of the East and dealing with that. And something else I've been thinking a lot about, specifically with this question.
Yeah.
So it was actually announced the other day that Gur's one of his, the Ice Dragon.
Yeah.
Which I had to do some research so it's kind of weird. So publishers say that this is part of the Game of Thrones series. Gur has specifically refuted it. I went and found this old link. He actually refutes it on his Nada blog.
Okay.
Says he wrote it like 10 years before Game of Thrones.
Okay.
But if you actually read it, so Sir Ezra and I are going to actually do this on our Patreon. It's going to be part of our Old Nan series. We're gonna start because so even if you view it as its own thing outside of Game of Thrones, like if you just read the synopsis of it, it's this girl that finds this ice dragon in this land that is always winter, and like it has you can almost view it as a lot of his some of these ideas are very early concepts that could end up becoming Game of Thrones, because he writes it years before.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you go back and you look at some of George Lucas's early concept of Star Wars,
even Tolkien's early sort of like ideas as to what he wanted to do. Yeah,
and so it's kind of interesting, and that again focuses on dragons. So like clearly, but years before he may have even conceptualized Game of Thrones, he clearly has like this affinity for dragons.
Yes.
So I think that is something just
and specifically an ice dragon.
Yeah,
which is, I don't know, that something's up with the wall. There is something in the wall that is significant, and we can talk about that at length later when we actually read it and review it. But but back to the favoritism of the Targaryens, though, I think there's you do sort of start to root for them. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Here, I have the synopsis of the Ice Dragon pulled up, and I just want to read it for context here. Adara was born in a long winter with the worst freezing cold anyone could remember. Her mother died giving birth to her.
Shame.
Adara loves the winter and feels attracted to the cold, preferring to play with snow and the ice lizard. She is apparently emotionless, and her skin is always so cold to the touch. Remind you of anyone? She feels that an ice dragon has always been in her life. When she was 4, she touched the ice dragon for the first time, and she rode upon its broad, chilled back for the first time in her 5th year. And the people of her town fear the ice dragon, said to be an untamable creature of legend. When it flies overhead, it leaves a desolate, cold, and frozen land. Adara is not afraid of the ice dragon, for she is a winter child. When Adara is 7, war comes to her land. Fire dragons come from the north and swoop down upon a peaceful farm that is Adara's home. Their riders attacked her family. She and her ice dragon fly towards them, and the ice dragon fights the other fire dragons in order to protect Adara and her family. The ice dragon defeats the fire dragons and their riders, but afterwards the ice dragon is nowhere to be seen, only a pond that had never been there before, a small quiet pool where the water is very cold. After the disappearance of the ice dragon, the cold leaves Adara. She is finally able to smile and weep like other girls. So it's actually kind of like a children's short story. And he wrote this in 1980. So way before a Game of Thrones, but how much of that sounds so similar?
Yeah. A child of winter.
Yeah. And a woman
that's cold, right? And that has that's cold to the touch. Dude. Wow. That is unreal. That's crazy. And the fact that they fight, a song of fire and ice
and fire.
That's unreal. We're gonna have to read the whole. Is it long?
It's very short. It's a kid's book. I have it. It's I bought it when I was in the Kingdom of Portland. But yeah, it's short, so it's definitely we're gonna read it and do it on a Patreon on our first of our Old Dan tales, because I definitely think there's a lot to pull from this that just once you get to view Gur as a writer, so much of that though.
Gotcha. And I do want to mention real quick before I forget, I misspoke earlier about Daemon, his naming, Daemon Blackfire, and Aemon. I had them mixed up, so just so you guys know, as I'm looking through this history. But as I'm looking through the history, I'm reminded how much these characters, the vast history of Targaryens. You know what I mean? Like, he spends a significant amount of time on this and on Aegon's conquest and all of his descendants. So
I know.
I totally think that it's gonna, the Targaryens are gonna rule again. It's clearly going that way. We need their dragons to fend off the long night. Yeah. So
all right. Well, I think we have time for one more quick one here. So this one was sent to us by Winona Moon.
Okay.
So I know this is quite a ways away in the story, but I had a theory. I wonder what you guys think about it. So in season 8 of the show, I'm pretty confident there's going to be a big showdown between the Hound and the Mountain, but I think the Mountain is going to win and kill the Hound. So then I think that Arya is going to kill the Mountain. For 2 reasons. 1, he is on her list, and 2, to avenge the Hound. Because as much as I think she hates to admit it, I believe Arya grew to love the Hound in her own way. Plus, I just think it would be freaking badass to see Arya kill the Mountain. LOL. And as much as I would hate the Mountain to die, he's my favorite. I would totally be satisfied if that's how it ended.
Wow, Lady Moon, I don't know.
I like the Mountain only because I like Halfthor Bjornsson or whatever his name is. I just kind of I've been following him on Instagram and stuff, and he's a really cool guy.
Well, I like that he's a cool villain. Yeah. You see somebody who's like, what? Like when he walks into anywhere, it's like, oh god, what are we gonna do?
When Gur makes us root for Cersei when she's dealing with the Sept, and he just wastes those guys.
I know.
It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. But the idea that Arya would kill the Mountain,
because I do think we're gonna get Clegane Bowl, as everyone likes to refer to it. Yeah.
Here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
Could the Mountain during their the fight with his brother, if the Hound is slayed, right, and Arya then avenges, right, or whatever, against the Mountain, could R'hllor raise the Hound once again? It would be ironic, right?
That would be
the sort of
Lord
of Light.
I think that. See, this is a big difference I have. Mm-hmm. So I think it's possible that if you remember when we started reading and they're talking about how there's like the difference in the World of Ice and Fire, they talk about the difference between the Prince Who Was Promised, Azor Ahai, and like the Last Great Hero. Yeah. And that they all could be different things. Right. So I think most people think that Azor Ahai is also the Prince Who Was Promised. Mm-hmm. So Azor Ahai I think it makes more sense if it's just someone. And I think the person it makes the most sense of, if it's not Jon Snow, is the Hound, because he had this, this fire has always been like a part of his life, and it's all, it's been a thing. So I think if he were to kill the Mountain, right? Yeah. And remember, the Mountains also theoretically could be a lion, because it could be because he serves the Lannisters. So there's that idea, I guess.
Right. Okay.
So I think it's very possible that he could be Azor Ahai. But I will say real quick about her idea of Arya killing the Mountain. Mm-hmm. See, I just don't know. I think it's possible that the Hound and the Mountain die killing each other.
Yeah, sure.
But I really don't know what's going to happen with Arya next season. Arya and Theon, I'm like, I have no idea where their stories are going, like at all. I just have no idea.
I know. It's crazy.
Because Arya's like, well, I want to kill Cersei. Okay, well, she's on her list, but like, it just makes so much more poetic sense for it to be Tyrion or Jaime with the whole Valonqar prophecy.
Yeah, and also it's not that everyone who's on her list she gets to kill. That's sort of her thing too. Is that like some of these people are getting ticked off by other people and things, and it's like that's the ambiguity of it, right? Because
Brienne almost killed the Hound, and theoretically in the book she could have.
Yeah, exactly. We see him
the Gravedigger thing, and
right? The Silent Sisters are So he's that whole piece is still up in the air in the books, but I could definitely see her. I could see her killing the Mountain, but I think she has the skill to do it with what she's learned. But especially I don't think that's going to happen.
Especially since we had that fight with her fighting someone much larger than her and Bran.
Yeah. Now here's something though. I do agree that she has grown fond of the Hound.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
That there will be that they will come across each other again.
Yeah, and the Hound has grown kind of fond of her.
Yes.
Right, in the Dragon Pit episode when Brienne is talking to the Hound and he's talking about Arya and he's like, well, if you're here, who's protecting her? And she's like, the only person that needs protected is the person who gets in her way. Yeah. And the Hound just kind of smirks like so.
Yep. Which is true. Yeah. And it's a good thing. And he's always been kind of subtly, he plays the game, right? He has the facade.
Yeah, you get it a little bit in the show, but much more in the books.
Absolutely. And you even get a lot with he and Sansa.
Absolutely.
And he really does.
He actually, I think, kind of cares for her and kind of likes her, yeah.
And he knows, too, that they're coming in. He's been in King's Landing for a while. He knows how just awful it is, and to see pure good kids come in there, it just breaks his heart, really. You know, so even though he's this big tough guy, so. I don't know. I just I love
it. The Hound is my
your favorite.
My favorite character.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Jon Snow is my favorite character, but of the non-main characters, I guess he is my favorite character.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like him a lot too. I just thought of the idea though after Lady Moon's Raven that he could be killed and then raised again.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be because he doesn't believe in he reminds me of like a Han Solo. Doesn't believe in Hoagie religions and stuff like that. But then to be sent back or to look into the flames and see something, which he does, right? And that's sort of what empowers him to go beyond the wall and help them out because he sees what
it would be cool. Because I definitely think Beric Dondarrion's dying.
Yeah,
and
but
Thoros of Myr is dead, but Melisandre's back, and what the other one might come back. I forget her name. Remember the other Red Priestess who we met over in Essos?
Oh yeah, Kinvara. Or something
Kinvara.
Like that?
I think she's coming to Westeros too.
Yeah, and in the book, it's actually what's his name? It's actually a male priest. I think. Yeah. I can't remember. But yeah, I think you're right. I think for sure. Now, Beric Dondarrion is my favorite character. Yeah. Okay, so he's not going out without like a big.
Oh, he's gonna go out in some. I think he'll kill one of the White Walker generals and then be killed by another.
Yeah. So he'll have an epic. An epic exit.
Maybe he has a sweet talk. Maybe as he's dying, he has a sweet talk with the Hound.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's see. Anything else? Raven, we want to save. We're gonna save the one from.
That one.
Aziz of Riyadh. And what else? Did we really want to save that one? Oh yes, we do.
We just don't have time to get into it today, unfortunately.
Yeah, Sir Ezra has to leave a little bit early, so I apologize, guys. That's why we're a little bit rushed. That's my fault. But yeah, we do want to save this one because it's a big one. So Aziz, we will get back to this, and we also have one from the Ghost of Harrenhal, which is really cool. So just so you guys know, the Ghost of Harrenhal hits us up, and we have ravens, from the Ghost. So yeah, that's super cool. Now. So I think that's it for Ravens. You can send those again to btkcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on the voicemail too. We just didn't have since we got the actual text Raven. We just decided to read that today, but we will definitely play those in the future. And we have got some cool stuff on patreon.com/bendthenee. Check that out. Black Council is coming this Memorial Day, so when you listen to the main show, you should be able to flip over to Patreon somewhere around midday. I think we'll drop that. That Patreon
that Black
episode,
Council. So, it's going to be Rhaenys Targaryen and the First Dornish War. Yeah, kind of an in-depth study on that.
Yeah, we're gonna dig into it a little bit. So
we have other Patreon stuff too coming. We did a meat and cheese and the first game show to book comparison, and perhaps now that Sir Ezra's super interested, we may have to. We'll finally get that first old Nan tale with the ice dragon going. So
yeah.
So all right, well, guys, it is time for the trivia question. The phrase Valar Morghulis, or all men must die, is usually responded with what?
That's good. Normally Matt has those down. Sir Matt has those down beforehand, and I get to kind of guess. That's a good one. Okay. Yeah. I guess I can't say it on.
No, you can't say it. You almost did.
Almost said it right back to you.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. So okay. All right, guys. Well, I believe that is it for us today. I want to thank you guys for playing the Game of Thrones. I didn't pull up an odd house saying this time.
I guess we could just in the in the words of House Targaryen, fire
and blood.